Hello. This is the fourth in the series of videos for the video training for COM 2302. So in the first clip, we learned how to download the files from tlearn and how to store them all in a video folder. In the second clip, we learned how to set up Premiere and how to save the file to the same folder where the video and audio assets are located, and we imported those assets into Premiere. In the third clip, I showed you how we can actually create what are called subclips, where we use the source window to take a source video, say this video of flies, and we find something we want to pull out of it, and we set a starting point and an ending point, and we ended up with Hitchcock looking at something, Hitchcock reacting to something, and a cute image that will go in between. So now what we want to do is use the timeline to assemble the elements that we've created. And the timeline right now has no sequence on it. So what I'm going to do is go to File and click New Sequence. And this is creating a new timeline sequence. When I create this, I receive this new window, new sequence window that can be really overwhelming. It's showing all of these presets. And the reason there are so many different presets is because there are so many different types of screens out there now. You might be creating content for a typical ordinary computer screen, but you could be creating content for, say, a watch, or a screen that's on a fridge, or a screen in a car, or a super high definition screen, or IMAX. The list goes on and on. So that's why there are so many choices. But the good news is you don't really need to make a choice at this point, but you do need to give your sequence a name. So I'm going to call this Kuleshov effect positive condition. We're also going to do the same thing with the negative condition, but right now we'll start with the positive condition. And you can see that it's given me this name, Kuleshov effect positive condition. That's going to be the name of the file eventually when I export it. And here is the timeline, which has video tracks 1, 2, and 3, and audio tracks 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to use the timeline to assemble things. So the first thing we want to do is find this clip that we had of Hitchcock looking at something. We're going to click and drag over to the timeline. And watch as I drag to the timeline, you can see how it's kind of trying to snap to the timeline, but I'm going to show you more about that. I'm dropping it off now in the timeline. I've dragged it over, I'm letting go of the mouse, and it gives me this message. Clip mismatch warning. The clip does not match the sequence settings. Change sequence to match the clip's settings. What it is telling us is that we have this old video from the 1960s that has all these strange settings, black and white, square, low definition. And Premiere has no idea what to do with it. So it's asking us if we want it to just kind of accept the settings of the old video or keep its current settings. And what we're going to say is change sequence settings. And basically, that's just telling Premiere, okay, from now on, everything on this timeline is going to have the same settings as that original source video. Now, if you look at the timeline over here, though, you'll see it doesn't even look like there's really anything on the timeline. Supposedly, I dropped off a video, but I can't see it. And the reason is just because we're too far zoomed out. At the bottom of the timeline, you'll see these weird little dots that allow you to zoom in and zoom out. You're going to be using these a lot. So now you can see, oh, great, okay, so I did drop it off in the timeline, and here we've got, about 2.5 seconds of Hitchcock looking.
Let me show you what you see.
And I just played it back over here in the output window or the program window. That's showing me what I have on the timeline right now. Okay, so we've got Hitchcock looking at something. Next, I'm going to grab this little cute cat with skunks thing and drop it out right after on the timeline. A couple things to notice. When I drag over here, you'll notice that the audio track and the video track are kind of sticking together. You'll also notice that if I tried to drag on top of the old Hitchcock thing, it would just overwrite that, which is not what we want. So I'm going to drag down a little bit towards the end, and then it'll snap as I just move to the left. It kind of can tell. You'll feel it when you drag it to the left. It sort of snaps into place. And now we've got a sequence that starts with Hitchcock looking at something, followed by something cute that he's looking at. And then the last thing for us to put in is the reaction. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here by using the dots at the bottom of the screen. Hitchcock looking, cute cat with skunks, and the next thing I need is Hitchcock reacting. I'm just going to find that in my subclips, drag it over, and pop it on the timeline right at the very end. And so now I'm going to play this back. It's about 13 seconds long, and you'll notice there's a problem with it. but let's see what it is.
Close up. Let me show what he sees.
And so it happened that 3 babies
Back to his reaction to what he sees. And he smiles. Now what is he as a character?
Okay, so you probably noticed there's a problem. The problem is that when it makes the transition from the Hitchcock video to the cute cat with skunk video, the audio also is traveling with it, and it's totally disruptive. We want to just first of all get rid of all the audio. Now I'll show you how to do that. When you click on part of your timeline, you'll see that it highlights the audio and the video. Now if I were to just click on the audio part right here and then hit the delete key, it deletes both the video and the audio, which is not what we want. If that happens to you, no stress. You can use Control-Z or Command-C or Edit Undo to go back. That's what I just did. So again, if you, just like the way it normally works, if you click on the audio and you try to delete it, it's going to delete both the audio and the video. That's because they travel together. What we need to do is unlink them. To do this, I'm going to draw a box around everything on my timeline, like that. I'm going to right-click with the mouse, and there will be an option which says Unlink. Unlink will remove the link between the audio layer and the video layer. Now I can click just on the audio, and you can see how just the audio is highlighted. I will just click on it and delete it one at a time. Now if I play back my clip, it's pretty cute. And yeah, okay, there's no audio. Now, I've noticed something, though, I want to talk about here. Let's look at this little middle part right here. I should have just stopped with the cat, you know. I didn't need the skunks right there. I think it confuses the narrative. So I want to show you something kind of cool you can do. You can hover over your clip. So if you can see right now, I'm looking at the intersection between Cute Cat with Skunks and Hitchcock reacting to something. If I hover over that intersection, you'll see how my mouse, there's like a little visual indicator, a signifier, that looks like a red bracket pointing to the left. If I click and drag, it's going to show me the transition point where the Cute Cat video bumps up against Hitchcock. And so I can go very slowly, and I can adjust it so that I'm just shortening the clip now, so it's just got the cat and not the skunks. And it stops just with the cat. You'll notice, however, there's this big long gap now between the cat and the skunks and Hitchcock. I can get rid of that gap by right-clicking and selecting Ripple Delete. Okay, now let's play this back and see how it works. If I hit play, he looks, he sees the cat, and he smiles. Okay, so that works fairly well. The last thing we need to do is put some music on. And you'll see here, if you look in your assets, I have some happy music, some creepy music. I'm going to put on the song to Growing Pains. So I'm going to click that, click on the icon, drag it over to the timeline, and drop it off. And now I'm going to go back and play, and let's see what happens.
Show me that smile again. Don't waste another minute on your crying. We're nowhere near the end.
Okay, that was good, but you're probably noticing that the audio keeps going on forever. So to fix that, I'm going to grab the razor blade tool. That's over here in the left. It allows you to do some old-fashioned cuts on the timeline. I'm going to now move down to the timeline, hover on top of the audio. You can see right at the end of the video and click. And that just puts a little tiny razor cut on the audio timeline, which then will make it possible for me to grab that selection tool and highlight the timeline and delete it. And now I have a self-contained clip. This is probably a really good time to save my file. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And so what I would like you to do before you go to the next video is practice the same things again. I'm going to show you how to set up a new sequence so that you can do it with the negative condition. So File, New, Sequence, and I'm going to call this Kuleshov negative condition, and click on OK. And again, we can kind of ignore some of the sequence stuff. You can see here now I have an empty timeline called Kuleshov negative condition. I also had Kuleshov effect positive condition. I'm going to go back to Kuleshov negative condition, and we know the first thing that we want is Hitchcock to be looking at something. So I'm going to click on that icon, drag it over, drop it off in the timeline, and then again, always tell it to change the sequence settings. And while I'm there, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can start doing my work. And here, I'm going to stop and let you continue. Your assignment before you go to the next video is to make sure you've also created something that has a negative condition, of Hitchcock looking at something gross and then reacting with that creepy smile. And then you're going to add some music to it. In the final video, we will talk about how to export your files when you're done.